now, we received an update that is more families being arrived to Fort Lee base, and they are in the processing their paperwork and medical examinations, and we anticipate we have this family be coming and resettled here in Washington State, which is one of the location that is targeted for to resettle refugees here. Especially the Afghan allies. So where is this family now resettled? Mainly in Puget Sound area, as you all may know, like Kent area, it's the the largest Afghan community, and but there are many challenges that come that you'll not be able to resettle in Kent area. However, we try to have those people who came here would like to be around their community and to be in Kent, or mainly in South King County. One of the big challenges is housing availability and affordability. As you all may know, housing, it's not only local in a challenge here in Puget Sound area in Washington State, it's a national challenge, but Washington State, one of the top 3 welcoming refugee state, and they are mainly aggregated in Washington in Puget Sound area, and so that's the housing, finding affordable housing, it's become very challenging. So we try now to look where we can resettle families outside of South King County, or looking in Pierce County, Tacoma, or looking up north in Snohomish County, areas where housing little bit affordable, but also we look at the supportive services for refugees in this area. We have many calls that came for people willing to host in distant area where there is no supportive services for families, such as school districts where it's close to the families, grocery stores, or community clinics. But we try to strategically look at the housing where we can host this family, where those services available or accessible at least by public transportation. We, as I said, we're anticipating high arrivals, and resettlement services. One of the things I would like to share with you is the program and the way how this programs is funded, even to support refugee, is partially funded by the government. It's not fully funded, and the support mainly it is to rely and to outreach to the community for support. So I would like to thank you so much again for joining and for your support. And at this time, before we go for questions and open any questions, I would like to talk about, I know there is many questions about how we can help, how we can be enrolled to be assistant, and then what kind of needs needed for those families. So with that, I would like to have our volunteer, a great, wonderful volunteer that's helping us in this process, Sheridan, that she will speak with you about what's the volunteer requirement and the hosting families requirement.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sheridan, and I am an intern with LCSNW. I'm going to share my screen really quickly to show you the volunteer form, if that's okay. Okay, can everyone see this form?
Yes.
Thumbs up. Okay, great. So some of you might have already filled out this form already, and that's great. If I haven't replied to your email, I've still got it, don't worry. But so this is the form that you'll fill out if you would like to volunteer. It's just your basic information. And then there's a background check is required for the volunteer process. And also if you would like to drive, if you checked yes in the box that said you would like to drive, then I'll also send you a motor vehicle release form that you can fill out. And then after that, after I receive that paperwork from you, I will be able to send you a link where you can fill out a super quick background check. It doesn't take very long at all. And then once that process is complete, we will hopefully have a volunteer training shortly, one of the coming weekends, where you can learn more about the organization and more about the clients that you might be working with. We also have a confidentiality policy, basically not sharing client information, and driving is definitely an option if you are willing to transport clients. As I said, there's just one extra form for that. Background check form. And then the driving policy. So you can say if you aren't comfortable driving or if you are comfortable driving. So yes, that is the main form. And there are a bunch of different opportunities that you can take part in if you would like to volunteer. Transportation is definitely a need. And that can be things like if clients need to go to a medical appointment or a job interview, they might need transportation to that. There's also, we definitely need assistance delivering supplies to clients, furniture, things like that. Marmar, would you like to expand on the hosting requirements?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Sheridan. Yeah, regarding hosting families, so this is one of the big support for family. This is one of the largest challenge, we have, we are dealing with, and we anticipate as there's high numbers of arrivals will be coming, and many of them are families, relatively family large size, like, they are from 3, 4 and all the way to 11, finding 4 and 3 bedroom, and this is one of the largest challenges, but we try at least to find temporary housing until we have the permanent housing for those families. We are also this is great help, so we are not want to have this will be cause any burden in you. We are going to offer assistance even to you, like, or pay the rent for those families if they are going to stay with you, or the family will share will share the bills, and or fully renting the place if there is open possibility for this large units, or units in the area where the service is available. We are willing to have this agreement with you, and we are, as an organization, will be sponsoring this family and assisting them. So there will be, if it's either this hosting will be with no charges, and in this situation, the resettlement grant is going to go toward the family to use for other expenses they need. If it will be a regular rental assistance for the family, we will have lease agreement with you and the family, and we will be the sponsor for the family to meet the agreement lease. For the free hosting, also we have an agreement that will be between the host and the hostees and the organization, to make sure that is both the family, the host, and the family, abide with these agreements, and making sure, especially they are refugees, we really taking privacy and confidentiality, and many of this information, will be in the lease agreement, sharing, like if you have a neighbor, or if you have somebody asking about, the families, or sharing, we try to keep, things as private as possible for, this family, and only with the host. So there will be agreement in there. And also one of other requirement is home inspection. And this is with our agreement with the Department of State, is any place where we will have the family live, or staying, even temporary or permanent housing, we should go and do home inspection. So we have the case managers go there, and we have a form, to fill the form. It's basically about the home safety, and making sure everything is okay, and if there is anything we can help with on this process, we would be happy to do that. So in addition to the volunteer application that Sheridan shared, will be these two pieces. So it will be the lease agreement and home inspection, and that will be communicated with you to be filled. Another thing, so for furniture, so we provide furniture for the family as well. So if your space that you will offer it for these families, or to rent it, if it's furnished, that would be great. If it's not, we provide furniture for those families. Yeah, I think that's all about the hosting requirement.
May I ask a question on this part?
Sure, yes.
Can you talk about the length of time for hosting?
Absolutely, yes. So it is variable. So here is the scenarios that we are dealing with. So when we have travel notification about family's arrival, it's variable, when we receive when this family will be arriving. In this, like the situation now, this is urgent arrivals. We got 24-hour notice, like family is coming. This is unusual or atypical, that we receive a very short notice about cases like this. In this situation, it's very hard, to find and secure housing. So the first thing we look into is if we have hosting family ready to take family, we call them and we'll say we are looking for temporary housing for this family. If that is not available, the second is we look for a hotel. We reserve a hotel for the family, we keep them there temporarily. This is an unusual scenario. So in the typical scenario, we receive the travel notice within 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and that gives us a time to look for housing. So for hosting families, sometimes we reach out and ask you if you are how long you're willing to offer your space, and that can give us a way how to work with you. If, for example, you say I'm willing to have to open my house for example, this my ability is a week, I can able to have family for a week, so that will be considered a transit housing or temporary housing. And some they say no, I can have it for 3 months or 6 months. So what we do is we discuss with you how this hosting will be. Is this going to be, for example, is it are you offering this to host family for free, or would you like us to support you for the utilities, or is it a rent? Maybe you are, you having this house and you rented this house as, part of your income, and you want to welcome refugees, but also want to support you in this, and we are happy to do that. And that would be 2-in-1. You are hosting refugees and we support your business, and would be greatly appreciated. So temporary and permanent will be depends on discussion with you, and then we'll go from there. And also sometimes the families, that's we would be hosted there. They might, after, for example, if we have agreement with you for 6 months, and we will discuss with the family, and then we'll see what's the agreement would be best. If the family in 3 months or so decide to move somewhere else, or when I move to if any circumstances come where family they decide to move. So we will have the initial discussion about all these points when the family arrive, and to let you know and know what's family is going on, and in case any unexpected or change circumstances, what's the conditions, what situation will be. So there will be very clear communication on this, and to let you know how the process will be.
Can you talk about the expected room, expectations? I read somewhere that, they need a separate bathroom, or what are the expectations about their space in the home?
Yes, thank you, Leanne, for this question. This is also a great question. So it depends on the size of the family in terms of certain expectation. Number one, always we try to protect clients like privacy and confidentiality, in terms of not to have refugees, they come here, they still would have, they have the they came with the trauma, and they came with that what's going on in their country, and they are still in fear to share anything outside. So try to keep always what they shared with the family there, with the host family, as a private, and not to be ask them questions, for example, in details about if they are not offering information about their situation or back home country, or taking for example, or taking pictures, always asking them like permissions if they want to share pictures together, or when they are in holidays or something, if it's okay, this pictures will be shared with families and shared with in the social media. One of the important things in this matter especially is to have the case manager always involved. So there'll be communication between the case manager and the host. If there is any things will be shared, to making sure it's the refugee families is protected, their information, their privacy. Although, I mean, the host sometimes, doing all this for care and love and welcoming family, but sometimes you didn't know if things shared in outside in social media, how that will impact the refugee, or ask the question that bring trauma to the refugee if they are not willing to ask about it. So in terms of space sharing, if it is a single person, which we have many cases with a single, the problem now is we try to be also cautious and careful not to do sharing, during the COVID time now, what's happening, But in terms of sharing kitchens and sharing bathrooms with single individuals who have his or her own room, taking the precautions in this, and that is that's considered, you know, we always look for, number one, we look if there is a private space that includes, you know, room, kitchen and bathroom together, you know, separately for that refugee. But if it's not available, especially for small size family, yeah, single person would be sharing, would be okay, sharing bathroom and sharing kitchen. And what we do, we provide kitchen and bathroom items to be, you know, for that single person to use by itself without sharing, you know, with others. So try to avoid or minimize sharing, you know, items, or, you know, in between two parties. If it's, yeah, if it's 2 or 3 or more, we would like always have yeah, the preferred will be separate bathroom and separate kitchen, but understanding that it's very challenging now. We can work to making sure even when you're shared, there is safety that for both, for the host family and, you know, for the refugees. So you know, giving precautions, making sure families, you know, now like wearing masks all the time, cleaning hands, cleaning after themselves, using hand sanitizers, and when we have shared spaces. I mean, this is common practice always, but to make sure this is happening all the time. So that's mostly what's would be expectation in terms for shared spaces.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
It sounds like you're providing rental assistance for families. If you can locate, you know, apartments or houses to rent for them specifically, can you detail how long you would expect to be able to cover that rental assistance for?
Thank you so much for this. This is all really great questions. So the refugees come with here with one of the benefits they're receiving is grant, or what they call refugee assistance grant, and this grant is provided by the government. It is very it's not that, you know, amount that will meet the family's need within 3 months. Let me go back and share something. The Department of State, Office of Population, Refugee and Migration, our agreement and with them is that we help the family for only 3 months, 90 days, and they provide a grant according to that. And the grant is variable, grant amount is variable by the size. The single person has small amount. The more number of family increase, the amount is increased. We try, we use different resources. We try to get, you know, that's why one of the things we are asking refugees about the community, sorry, about donations to help family, you know, to you know, be able to pay the rent longer than the longer until they get employed. So the agreement we do, the first and the standard agreement we have with any property or unit to rent is 4 months. We ask, you know, like we are going to help the family up to 4 months. And we hope by that time that refugee would be employed and be able to pay the rent. But the reality, this is very tough. It is very hard. And we see like it's going to take time for refugee to adjust here. And even to receive their paperwork, to receive their social security number, and to receive their work permit. Sometimes impacting their employment, you know, when they will be employed. So yeah, we rely on the community, on the support, and we try to help up to 4 months. And in some emergency situation, we will use an emergency fund to help the family for another 1 or 2 months. So the maximum 6 months, but that's an extreme situation. So the single and 2 or 3, they have smaller grant. That's what we use more donation for the rent. As the family large size, like family of 7 or 8 or 9, and if we have an affordable housing, we'll be able to, you know, be helped up to 6 months. And we try to make sure that you know, they get employed, and, you know, make sure they have receiving cash from another resources.
Thank you for that answer. I work for an affordable housing provider in Seattle, and I'd be very interested in having further conversations. Could you send or share in the chat the right email to get in contact directly around more permanent relocation?
Thank you, Leonard. I'll do that. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So a quick question on timing. We are very interested in providing temporary housing. I think we have a good setup. We filled in the application today, and we're just trying to organize our lives about this maybe happening. Can you just give us some sense of what the earliest that we might have somebody actually coming to live with us based on, you know, your process for vetting and everything like that?
Sure. Thank you, Dan, for the question. Do you ask about you mean the volunteer processing application? And
yeah, so we just filled in that your application for that, and
okay,
that we sent that off earlier this morning. So you know, and we're just trying to make sure that we're ready to go whenever this might happen.
yes, thank you so much, Dan. So we try to have this goes as soon as possible. So we have the link for, you know, higher right, which is, you know, it's a background, it's a system. We submit the, you know, we submit the background application, and this goes to the background organization, and then as soon as we hear from them, we will start the enrollment process. Generally did not take more than 7 days from the time you submit your application. So that's the maximum. And now the organization working to expedite this, to expedite the process, you know, to work with the background to making sure this is going very fast. So I will say the maximum it is, you know, will not take more than 7 days.
How about the minimum? We're just trying to make sure that we're ready as soon as this might happen.
Yes, the minimum is within 24 hours from submitting the background check. Within 24 hours. Yeah. So I'm working on that, you know, to making sure this is going as fast as possible, especially, you know, this support is amazing, and this is really needed, and we really appreciate it. So we're working on that very hard. Then thank you.
Sorry, when you say 24 hours, you just mean for the background check, not for the caseworker to come to the house and do all of that as well.
Yes, for the background check, like, okay, this host family, it's approved, and now we have the people that they can come and they do the inspection, and, you know, very quick. They can come even a few hours before the family, just making sure, you know, doing everything as soon as possible. Also, we are now working on exploring to doing this remotely by sending, you know, pictures and doing video, like between the host and the family or the case manager, I mean, to see what's the house look like. So virtual inspection, that's one of the options that the organization exploring to expedite this. So we might reach you if you have the capacity to do it, you know, with the camera, and then we go through the house and see how things going there, and we finish that sooner than the person to be on the field.
So it could conceivably happen by the end of the weekend then.
I mean, Sheridan said 2 weeks, so could she maybe address that in the chat?
Yeah, so I sent a chat a bit up, further up. So as far as right now, I'll be able to send people links to complete their background checks starting early next week, hopefully. So you all likely probably won't be able to complete your background check until next week. Once I send you the link, you'll have 3 days to complete it. The link stays active for 3 days. And then once you complete it, it can take up to a week for it to process. But as Momar said, as little as 24 hours, it might come back in just 24 hours. And then after that, we would arrange if you wanted to host a family, we would arrange the house check with the caseworker. And then you would also complete just the standard volunteer training, and that would probably be scheduled for a weekend day. We're trying to find a date right now that we can start giving out to you all for a training date. So before all of that stuff is completed, you would not receive clients in your home before that entire process is completed.
So it sounds like a minimum of 1 week then, that nothing's gonna happen next week. There's a chance for the week afterwards.
Yeah, for the background check to come back, that takes the minimum 1 day and goes to 1 month to 1 week. Sorry, but it's just to finish the full process. To finish the full process is, and this is to secure both, your side and the family side, making sure is understanding, family coming to the new their new home, and making sure you are prepared and they are prepared. So I understand, Dan, and I really feel you. It's, to help the refugee, and you try to, we try to minimize the process as much as possible, and to go to and care about people more than the process, and we have people and we need to help them and need to welcome them. But I'm in little bit support the process because I want to make sure you are ready and your place ready and the family is ready. So that's what we want to do. Yeah.
There are a number of questions that are in the chat. I'm wondering if it's possible to answer some of the key ones that are there. Please.
Do you want me to read them out, Momar, and then?
Sure. Yeah.
could
So
address
I'm not
them?
tracking. Yeah.
Yeah, I can go through and read. So there's a question about, does everyone in the household need to do the background check?
No, not everyone. Only the host. Only the house, the household. Yeah, or the homeowner, or the one who would be, the adult ones would be. Yeah.
And if others in your family might be potentially driving clients, then they can fill out a form as well. But otherwise just the host.
Yes.
Let's see. A couple people were wondering about what is the policy with animals in the house, if they have pets, is that an issue?
Yes. Thank you for that question. So we have family coming from different culture, and we check with them as they are coming. So when we secure the place with you and tell you we have family coming, and we check with the family, tell them about the house, we tell them about the environment, and if you have a pets, and if they have any, what's their perspective about having pets in the house, and then we'll discuss how there is any way, if it's separate units, or it will be more, and family, they are, you know, not, I'll say, not animal friendly or something. There are some, you know, they have kids who's afraid from pets, and others who have some, you know, allergies, or we don't know if they have allergy. We want to make sure they're separate from there. So we check with the family and we check with you, and if there is way how it would be separate. If family, they're coming and they are already, you know, they have pets or back home, or they're friendly with pets, they have no problem, so it will not be an issue. We just want to make sure we're going to monitor family. If anything like in terms of allergy or anything's happening, then we'll take care of that, and we'll communicate that further. But this is one of the point we'll make sure when you when we connect with you and see what, you know, if you have pets, and we'll discuss that with the family as well.
A couple other people had a question about how if we provide help for the host understanding cultural differences or preparing for that. And also a couple people had questions about what kind of food they should have, or just kind of general things like that.
Yeah, so the training, we'll discuss about the cultural. So this hosting family, one of the things case managers they do with the arrival with the refugees is anticipation and cultural integration. So this is a great opportunity for the family to be you know, integrate and to be feeling home, as to be, you know, integrated and be part of the culture that's new for them. So we really support this this interaction. We understand family is going to go through cultural shock at you know, as resettled and would be, you know, in a new culture. But first, the case manager will be always in contact with them and with the host. If there is any you know, any miscommunication or misunderstanding between each other. Language, in terms of language, is we'll have we always have also interpreters, volunteer interpreters, or the case manager. Usually we assign the cases for case managers who speak the language, so they communicate between the family and the host, and the case manager speaks. So for example, we have two case managers who speak Farsi, Dari, and the family Afghani. So when you have the family there, they will communicate between both of you. So in terms of cultural, yeah, we encourage the family to be interacting and open, and if there is any question, case manager will be there always to address if there is any concern on and to communicate that, yeah, with us and with you.
If anyone had a question that hasn't been answered, feel free to send it again in the chat. I think some might have gotten lost.
I see so many questions here.
One that I saw earlier that might be pretty pertinent is, what will the COVID protocols be for incoming refugees?
Yeah, that one.
Thank you so much. This is a great question. Many of those family, either in Afghanistan or here in the US in this military bases, being offered vaccination, being screened, number one, and number two, being offered vaccination. So the vaccine provided here, it's Johnson & Johnson single dose, because sometimes the process when family, they are transitioning, they, you know, they lose the time for getting the second dose for any reason. So that was offered, and also Moderna vaccine. So when family before pre-departure, they tested their rapid test, and when they come here, they tested again. And before the departure, if the family negative for the test, they offer them the vaccination. And what I have here, then the information we receive, there is no, the hesitancy very minimal. That's all family that came here. When they get a chance, they tested negative, they received the vaccination. And if there is no time, if they just tested negative, we receive their, they came with their medical information saying like, you know, their test is negative, but they don't take vaccine. So the first thing we do when the family arrive here is to offer them the vaccination. We are working with refugee health screening programs in all the counties here in the area, in Puget Sound, Pierce County, King County, Snohomish County, and we so we try to vaccinate them as soon as possible. So family come here, we submit appointment for refugee health screening, they checked again, and they receive the vaccination. Also, once family come here, we provide them with translated material in their language about the virus, about the pandemic, and we offer them PPE, all, you know, masks and gloves and hand sanitizers and instructions how to they are, you know, properly putting masks. And also family come here and we offer them, we provide them thermometers to check their temperature. This is an emergency situation. So what happens since the COVID, the IOM, International Organization of Migration, they're providing, you know, the packet, the care packet that has thermometer and temperature chart, and we ask the family to check their temperature and have a diary. They put all the information. So we have the package for the family that prepared when they arrive in their language, and we provide PPEs, and immediately we offer them, you know, vaccination as soon as they arrive. So so far we didn't have family came here and experienced COVID or came here and then tested positive. In some scenario, God forbid, someone came here and doesn't feel good and tested was positive. So we work with these health departments across Puget Sound area, and they have isolation shelters, places in capacity where we can have this family or that individual, you know, to be isolated. I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
We have another question here that says, if we are only able to offer short-term transitional housing, do you recommend still applying to host, or would you prefer people who have the ability to be more flexible with timing?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Yeah, so if someone isn't available to host for a long term, do you recommend that they still apply, or?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it still be very helpful. It still be very helpful, yes. So here's what we try to do. I mean, putting families in, as I said, I mean, the grant we receive, it's we are very partially funded, and we try every we spend it in hotels for the family to try to go directly to the rent, you know, to rent home, or buying them another needs, another housing needs. So transitional housing would be great as well, and this work for all family sizes. You know, sometimes we find for family once they arrive, sometimes it's very challenging to find, for example, for single or for, you know, or for the large family who's, you know, 4, 5, and 6. So yes, please, please go ahead and apply.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
There was something I just saw moments ago regarding the COVID protocols, and it's a question, are there also requirements for host families? I wasn't sure I quite heard that. Are we going to test host families? Are we going to require that, you know, all host families are vaccinated, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that, Jeff. So this is because now Washington State, they mandated, you know, the vaccination, and understanding, you know, and respecting other people opinion about, you know, the vaccine and pandemic. All what we ask for is that is the host to be most of the time in around the family would be, you know, the caution is wearing masks and minimal sharing spaces, you know, touching spaces like the kitchens and the common area with the families. But is it required that we have the host family to get vaccinated? No. Do we ask them if they are vaccinated or not? No. But we ask to be always taking precaution, you know, to have a minimal always, you know, sharing or touching, you know, the common spaces together. And you know, it is theoretically to say it easy, but practically you are within a host family will be together, and the chance will be, you know, this contacts and sharing things, it's happening. But we cannot force people to vaccinate, and also same for the refugee when they come here. We are not, you know, force people to get vaccinated. But if there is any symptoms come out, you know, either from the family, and we ask the hosts, you know, if they are, you know, to be testing, and if the host tested positive, we try to take the family out, you know, isolate them, and then try to put them in another environment or another place, so to protect them and from any transmission of the virus. This is very challenging situation when it comes to the pandemic and what's happening, and now with the emergency situation. So if we will have in the situation when things is not an urgent need, for example, you know, we need family within 2 or 3 days to host them. So we try to coordinate this more between, you know, the host and the family. So making sure everything prepared, you know, if the family here they have tested negative and they get their vaccine, and then preparing all education them about, you know, how they are wearing masks all the time when they are, you know, closer to another people, and how to clean and wipe and, you know, sanitize all the time, because this refugee come from places, although, you know, vaccine and pandemic protection precaution education is provided, but it's very minimal. And here we try to emphasize and making sure we provide resources for them to be protected.
There are some more questions. There are people wondering about what are the location limits for host families in general. Yes.
So as I mentioned earlier, we try to have the families in areas where there is supportive services. We try to not to limit them in Puget Sound, like between Tacoma, Puget Sound. When I say, like, I mean, it can goes all the way. We have family resettled in Olympia, and we have families resettled all the way to Mount Vernon. So across, you know, all these 3 counties or 4 counties here, we have families. And the area where we settle them, we make sure there is public transportation, and there is, you know, school, there is grocery store, there is clinics. So if the area has this availability, we are, you know, that would be great for the family to be there. We have one scenario where we put family in area was very distant and away from all these resources I mentioned, and it was very challenging for the host itself and for the family to receive the service, and we have to transition the family to another place, and this was urgent situation, but it was very helpful. But so we are, yeah, Pierce County, King County, Snohomish County, all the way even to Skagit County. There will be we have community, small refugee community where we can have and there is resources, so we can resettle families there.
Someone just asked about Kitsap County. I don't believe we resettled there.
Yes, yeah, we haven't resettled in Kitsap County. Mostly it's in a, we have secondary migration. If you see families being resettled there, there would be family who's already was, you know, in resettled area, and then they moved, relocated in Kitsap County. I know Kitsap County, it has few resources there for the families, but we haven't had recently. I will say in the last 3 years or 4, I didn't hear about, you know, even another organization if they resettled in Kitsap County.
There was one other question that I saw. Tyler was wondering, are there any requirements in terms of staying with the refugees while they are at your house if you're hosting?
No, yeah, you are not responsible. No, so we make sure, I mean, family will be there, they're adults, and one of the refugee culture orientation we provide, we teach the family about you know, child supervision and responsibility, adult responsibility. So you are not responsible for that. Thank you for that question.
A few people are wondering about if they're hosting, are they responsible for food and making meals? I think ideally they would have access to a kitchen, their own kitchen to use.
Yes. Generally, the family are responsible. So we assist the family with the food assistance, either through, you know, enroll them for SNAP, and then, you know, and showing them where they, you know, get their food resources, grocery store. And so people, they are responsible for cooking their own meals, unless willing, I mean, yeah, to share with family. So that's why one of the goals of the hosting, in addition to the housing, is to be integrated. So but it's not responsibility of the host to make food for them, yeah, or to provide food. So everything will be provided for the family, yeah.
One other person was wondering, I think we already addressed this, but was wondering about what should they expect for language barriers. So I don't know if you want to reiterate that one more time.
Yes. So case managers is a connection or the contact points between the family and the host. So it'll be always available and always provide interpretation. And also we assist some scenarios here. If the family, we assist family language capacity. If the family, they don't speak English at all, we will make sure we have a mentor and we have a volunteer who's interpreter will be around most of the family. We use technology. We have one case, an Iranian family here in Tacoma, where this scenario happened, and we provide, you know, the family phone and always in communication, so you can have access online. We need it for interpreter, and also, the case manager. So we'll make the resources available. So any communication happen between the host and the family who doesn't speak the English at all, we will have these resources available. And it went very well, the experience for this family. From their arrival in about 4 months, it was a great progress for them to learn English, which was a life experience. So so that was a really great experience.
Anyone else have questions that haven't been answered? Feel free to unmute or type it in the chat again. Otherwise, I don't see anything else.
Sorry, what does the training consist of once the background check is completed? What does the training look like?
Yeah, the training is generally about many of it is terminology about refugees and the process they went through in terms of how they become refugee. There is a history a little bit about the places where they come from, and then process of the vetting. They go through it, and what this refugee were expected they come with, and how we are, be able to help them. So this is giving you a general comprehensive idea about who is a refugee and why, and what the process they go through, and what might they come with, from the experience, the PTSD, and the challenges they come with, and how we can work with this, and giving you a guideline of communication, when you experience any interaction with the family, where to reach to, and in terms of the support, the sponsorship organization for them, or other resources in the community that is needed to help the family with.
That makes sense. Thank you. And is that also going to be a Zoom call then, or is there something more? Okay. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. I'll do that soon. Yeah.
The last question I'm seeing is about donations. People are asking if they can't host, but they want to donate money for a hotel or things like that. What is the process for that?
Yes, thank you so much for that, and we really appreciate it, because the help is, this is what make help a lot for in this situation. So either way, we give the option to the volunteer. So some family, they say, or donor say, I'm gonna go ahead to the and take care of that, go to the hotel, and do that on behalf of the family, or you send us your donation, and we process your donation to the hotel, and we follow up with all the document needed, receipts, confirmation, and also one thing is I want to share it here is for families that is, the donation is all tax deductible. So we provide you the letter from the organization about your donation for your record. So either way we your generous support and donation will be honored. So if you do it directly to the hotel, you brought us the receipt for if you would like the tax letter, we provide it, or you can send the donation to us and we'll do it in behalf for you, for the family.
I think that's it as far as questions, unless anyone else has anything. I'll put my email in the chat one more time. Feel free to reach out with questions and send your forms to me at that email.
Okay. Great.
Hi, sorry, one more question for me. Will you be able
Sure.
to send out the link to the recording for this? I have several friends who wanted to attend but weren't able to.
Sure, we'll do that. Yes, yes. After this meeting, I will share it with. I know we have many people who's joined by the link, so I want to make sure that is all. This is shared with everyone. So I will share it with Ariana, and share it with all people who's I'm seeing on the link here. So definitely we'll do that.
Terrific, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your time and thank you for your support. And know what are you doing is, you know, bring happiness and bring welcome and people to feel home, and we are really appreciated. So, and it's paid forward. Many of families who came here and hosted by and supported by family like you, now they are welcoming and hosting another family. So there is refugees doing this for a new refugee, and because they went through this experience. So we really appreciate that, and for all what you do, and without you we cannot do it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.